Higher fees, no more interest-free loans and fewer grants. That's the recommendation of the employers' organisation, the CBI. It says a rapid rise in student numbers, combined with the recession, mean the government needs to rethink its target of having half of school leavers going on to higher education. Tuition fees are currently paid by students in all parts of the UK, except Scotland. Well, our Home Editor, Mark Easton, is here to look at the crisis in university funding. Mark.
Thank you very much indeed, Fiona. Yes, your starter for 10 in this round of University Challenge is who is going to pay for higher education, especially in the middle of a recession. The CBI team has buzzed in with their answer. Students must pay more and the sector should stop expanding.
If, as seems likely, budgets are going to have to be cut, then the budgets that should be cut would be on those which support students through the system, rather than cutting the numbers of students, rather than cutting the spending per student.
The government, though, is sticking firm. Our future economy will depend on having more people with higher level skills, say ministers. However, despite the expansion of universities, the proportion of young Britons, with a degree has barely risen from 37% in 2000 to 39% now. But look what's happened elsewhere in Europe. All these countries have overtaken us. Ireland gone from 30% to 45%. Iceland way up there at 63%. Poland too has raced past us. And it's not that they want to outdo us. They're worried about developing nations like China, which now produces 5 million graduates a year, and countries like India.
Here in India, only about 11% of people who finish school actually go on to university, and a lot more drop out long before. Now, the government wants to increase university numbers to include about 30% of school leavers by 2020, a huge challenge.
Rapid growth helping pay for higher education in countries like India, but for the developed world, there are really three sources of income for universities: tax, students and donations from private sources. In Britain, around 2/3 comes from tax, 27% from student fees, donations making up the rest. In Japan, it's a very different model. Only 1/3 comes from tax, just over half the cost is from fees. In other countries, fees pay for almost all the costs. And the European model looks different again. In Germany, as many EU states, it is the taxpayer who pays for almost everything.
Here in Germany, around 40% of school leavers go on to study at university. Germany has a regional education system. That means that in some parts of the country, tuition is absolutely free, and in other parts you have to pay for your studies, but the fees there are far lower than in Britain, no more than £1,000 a year. And there's a system of bursaries and student grants to help cover the cost of accommodation.
It's a similar tale in other European countries, but the US experience is very different. A three-way split with donations from private sources making up 30% of all America's huge university costs.
Here in America, universities nurture a culture of giving back and encourage generosity. This is the George Lucas Film School at the University of Southern California. The movie mogul studied here and donated £108 million. It's not unknown for people to bequeath their entire estate to their college. Donations and costly student fees are vital funding sources, but they pay for some of the best facilities in the world.
Well, universities in the UK are working hard to maximise income on the old boy and girl network, but it appears we have a different cultural relationship with higher education from the US or even mainland Europe, with little appetite for increased state funding, nor an American sense of obligation among graduates to give something back. The answers in this University Challenge look set to come from students. Fiona.